We'll call the meeting to order with a moment of silent reflection. Let us take a moment of silent reflection to contemplate in our own way the responsibility we have to collectively use our skills and experience to ensure the mutual long-term benefit of our municipality and those we represent. Ask for the roll call, please.
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Councillor Chartrand.
Here.
Councillor McKay.
Here.
Councillor Rose has expressed her regrets, and Councillor Villeneuve.
Present.
I would ask Councillor McKay to recite the mission and vision statements, please.
HCM mission, at your service, working effectively to bring together people, partnerships, and potential for a strong, connected community. HCM vision, providing a healthy, connected, and sustainable community teeming with possibilities for our citizens now and into the future.
Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof. We'll move on to the deputation's presentation. Right off the top, we have the Deep River Hospital campaign. The presentation by Ashley and Karen. If you'd like to come forward.
Where would you like me to stand?
Wherever you need to be. And do we have a mic?
Okay. So generally you present to council, not the people who are here.
Okay.
So if you'd like to stand here, and you can, we'll turn the mic. Unfortunately, you have to get pretty close to it.
Okay.
Okay. They're light.
Okay.
If you'd like to.
Okay, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for the opportunity to come and to speak to you about the Deep River and District Hospital Foundation. We wanted to let you know this is the first step in that we've come out. There will be a major campaign coming, but we thought it was very vital to come to all our catchment councils and mayors and do a presentation first before, because we wanted you to hear it firsthand from us. So I'm Karen Crane. I'm a volunteer with the district, or with the foundation. Sorry, I got mixed up. And I'd like to introduce the executive director of the foundation is Ashley Hardy. With that, I also would like to let you know the catchment areas of council that we are going to was Laurentian Hills, the Swishaw, Marie Head and Clare, Petawawa, and Deep River. So we've already done a couple, and we appreciate the time. Just to let you know, government does not supply funding for equipment. The average person, I was guilty of this myself, I didn't realize that there's no dollars for that. So also too, the foundation is working on getting more volunteers, and that's kind of important. So we're actually looking for an area, if you have a bulletin board where we can put information up, that would be very appreciated. Currently the foundation has, the board is 12 members. We've just started a recruiting program for volunteers, and we now stand at 18. So we've made good progress in the last few months. So we're asking council and volunteers and communities to get together and stand behind the foundation. We'd like you to take opportunity if you hear grants or a possible, possible information where the foundation could use. We'd appreciate you getting into contact with us. A very key thing is we need to make public awareness. That's another event we will be coming on. And we'd like to open develop a very open communication with the municipalities and with the public, and we'd like to share information. And we're interested in working with any groups that want to help the foundation reach our goals in the fundraising. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley to do some more. Right?
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Would anybody object if I gave Ashley a chair?
No, that's fine.
Sure. Okay.
Trying to stand there.
Thanks, okay, great.
Got a handheld
Thank you.
mic.
Okay, thank you very much for having us here today. We appreciate the opportunity to talk about the foundation and just to give you guys more information about who we are and what we're about. Thank you. This campaign that we're looking to do in the near future is the first major campaign that we've ever run for the Deep River Hospital Foundation. It's a campaign for $1.75 million, and it's to get new digital imaging equipment for the hospital. So that includes an x-ray machine, an ultrasound machine, and portable x-ray machine. And it also includes the ability to have it in the emergency room and be able to use such equipment. So it's quite a big undertaking. We've never done anything like this before, so we're looking to come out to the communities who have a stake in the hospital just to see if you might have any input, suggestion, areas where we could work together in moving forward towards our goal. Do you guys have any questions for us about the presentation material that we handed out? Anything that you'd like us to clarify further? In one of the slides, you can see that we indicated what the smaller picture is. So it's just on page 6. It's a picture of the actual equipment. And what we're looking to do is actually a bigger picture, which is the following page. And it has how such equipment will be linked together. And once this new equipment is in our hospital, it'll be linked with other hospitals like the Ottawa Hospital. So when a doctor inputs their information into the system that they have now, it'll be sent electronically to Ottawa, and you don't have to bring, your x-rays and ultrasounds with you in a hard copy. We'll automatically have that as transfer. So we see it as real value added to the hospital and to the people in the communities because it streamlines the process. And so we're just looking at creating the story at this point, and we're looking to roll out the campaign quite shortly, within this month, actually, hopefully by the end of the month. And it's a 2-year campaign, and it's a large sum. So any advice or any information going forward and ways we can work together would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one comment I'd like to make. So when you're looking at this equipment, it's like the equipment we have today is getting old. It's like a computer you had 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So just think of the technology that we'll bring in.
Yeah, I know. I recently purchased a new computer, and it was at a date before I got it out of the box.
That's right. So you can see in there one of the pieces of equipment is 24 years old.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how out of
Yeah.
date that is with modern
Exactly.
technology and the systems that they have at the other hospitals in Ottawa and so forth. Yeah. So there's definite need to have that equipment in place.
And like it's important that if you know functions, like for example, if you're having some sort of social at the hall, that maybe we could, even if it's just to get the information out to the public or an opportunity to raise money, that's important. And we're looking for volunteers. To us, a volunteer can be somebody that gives us an hour a year or whatever. And we want to have fun. That's very important.
Yeah.
And raise the money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I'd mentioned to our clerk maybe to keep that in thought and forward thinking, and if we come up with something that we can share with the foundation and contribute, maybe we can.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to Inspector Newfield from the Ontario Provincial Police from the Ottawa Valley section. Uh-oh.
Time to get up.
It's my fault, I forgot to turn
Was
it
that
off.
my cue to walk in here?
And now I can't turn it off. There we go. Sorry about that.
No trouble at all. No trouble. Thank you very much, Your Worship, members of the council, members of the public. You know what, I'm just going to talk really loud. How about that?
Just turn it up.
You know what? No, I'll just be very loud. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's my pleasure to come up and introduce myself. I'm the new detachment commander for the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment. My name is Stefan Self. I started in early December of 2017. That is my first time working here in the Valley. I am a Valley resident. I live outside of Barnfire in a little town called White Lake. I've been there for about 10 years. Upper Ottawa Valley is my 6th detachment that I've worked at, all over Eastern Ontario. I've been a police officer with the OPP for 23 years in various branches in our organization. I've been a platoon sergeant. I've been in our emergency response team, so that's like our TAC team. Search and rescue. I've done stints in our crime unit, detective. This is my 3rd detachment as a detachment commander. Very pleased to be here, and with any luck, I will ride out the rest of my career here. All goes well, and I don't mess up too bad. I did have a little bit of a presentation, just to kind of go over some things, but normally what I like to do, certainly for my first visit, is if there's any questions, I don't mind fielding any questions from His Worship or Council or even members of the audience, or we can do that afterwards. But certainly I just kind of like to see where the conversation goes, rather than me kind of say, here's what we're doing. I can kind of lead us off and just kind of talk about some of the challenges that we as a detachment are facing. Certainly, I'm sure everybody has read about the upcoming legalization of marijuana. That is certainly at the very forefront of our organization, how we're going to be tackling that. We have enough, and we've seen the carnage, and certainly as members of this community, you've seen the damage and the carnage that happens on our highways from drinking and driving, let alone what impaired by drugs is going to do to drivers. So that is certainly something that we are very cognizant as an organization, with our job being protection of the public. That is our role, that is our mission in life. We are very aware of the dangers that this can possibly present to the community. We're working hand in hand with the Canadian Chiefs of Police, the Ontario Chiefs of Police Association, to provide a consistent, coordinated strategy to deal with this corporate as an organization. As far as the OPP's opinion, should it be legal? Well, that's not up to decide. We're here as it stands today. It is still without medical exemption. Marijuana is still illegal. We don't know what the legislation is going to look like, so it's not really fair for me to speculate. How are we going to combat the possible impaired driving aspect? We have officers that are being trained and that are going to be trained in what is called drug recognition. And this is basically, if you think back when drinking and driving sort of became in the forefront, and we're going way back, where they had the old breathalyzers, and even that was new technology back then in the 70s. This is now, fast forward, 40 years, we have officers that are trained to take saliva, they're trained to take urine, and that is analyzed to determine if a driver, and they have to have grounds to, they can't just say, you know what, I think you're impaired by drugs. There's whole process that goes with this, and these officers are trained, and it's not just like they go online and take this course. This is an intense course. Part of it is being done in the United States. They've done it in Jacksonville and Phoenix, Arizona, at the penitentiaries, where they bring in people that are high on numerous kinds of drugs, so they have like an unlimited amount of candidates to select to do their testing from. Where we do our training now, and I was a former breathalyzer technician, where we just have Jordan College students come in and have a couple of drinks, and then we do the breathalyzer test. You have to do a certain amount of tests to be qualified as a breath tech. While they go to these penitentiaries and they round up these people that are coming in to be incarcerated, and they bribe them, believe it or not, with a McDonald's meal. I say, hey, do you want a free McDonald's? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm going into jail for the next 2 years. Might as well have my last Big Mac. And they just have the officers do the drug test. They test for saliva. I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously they do urine, and they have they check for a pupil dilation. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm not trained on it. But there is a whole process, and this is slowly being introduced into the course. They do it now because we have officers that are already trained. So you are seeing it starting to creep into the courts. The charges by impaired by drugs. So we are very aware that this could possibly be an issue for us. There's no doubt with the legalization of marijuana, and it is going to happen. I mean, let's face it, it is going to happen. When and what that looks like, we don't know yet. But I would certainly want the board and the community to know that we are well aware that this is an issue, and we are getting ahead of it, as is every other police service in Ontario and Canada. Any questions so far?
Anything from council?
So I have a question from the
Yes, sir.
presentation. I was quite surprised at the number of Highway Traffic Act.
Confidential information.
This
Sorry?
one?
This is confidential
Oh,
document.
yeah.
Not
So we
to
can
be
talk about it.
Okay.
discussed.
So what we have, sir.
No, I got
Oh, I thought you were
questions
gonna-
coming up, but we'll wait.
We have within our organization, the OPP, what's called our strategic plan. And this is basically the highway that we are taking corporately as an organization. How are we advancing our organization? And there's several tenets in there. We talk about leadership, we talk about officer wellness, and there's like different cogs in the wheel. The center cog being the leadership piece. Back when I started at the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment, the key piece of that pyramid is the leadership component. We had a bit of and I'll say it, a bit of a leadership vacuum, and through nobody's fault, but we had the number one detachment commander retired, the number 2 person transferred up north, and 3 sergeants left. So there was a huge vacuum there. And not that you pick up the phone and call 911, you're still going to have an officer respond. But that leadership core was missing. All those positions have since been filled in the 6 months that I've been here. And so we have everybody in place. So that is a very key function because, as you know, when the cat's away, the mice will play, and there are certain things that we want to make sure that our officers are doing on a daily basis. Primarily, and certainly it affects us up here, is the traffic enforcement. We have 2 dedicated traffic officers that are up and down this highway every day. Anybody that commutes this highway on a regular basis, as I do, knows that we have some, pardon my language, we have some serious idiots out there. People that really need our attention. And we're certainly more than happy to give it to them. Number 2 is the wellness aspect. You know what, if we don't have a healthy workforce, then we don't have officers that are able to respond to calls. We have to look after our own wellness, and that's a key, because if we can't look after ourselves, how can we be expected to look after our communities? We have technology advances that we've made leaps and bounds in the last few years, quite unprecedented for our organization. We have all our cars now are equipped with the MPSs, mobile workstations. So basically, going back not even 5 years ago, I respond to your house to do a call for service. Let's say you had a chainsaw stolen. Well, now I got to go back to the detachment to enter all that information. Now the officers can do it right in their car. They don't have to go back and type anything. In fact, the typing is even less now because we introduced what's called dictaphone, or CDE, where an officer just calls up to our office, our headquarters in Aurelia, and basically tells a civilian, rather than us pay an officer to go sit in an office and type, they just call it in, and a civilian in headquarters inputs that in, so they just do a telephone call. One step further, so that was just phase 1. Phase 2 now is we have all these officers. Not every officer has their own, but every car has a BlackBerry device. So now they don't even have to go back to the office to use the phone. They can just do it from their car. So I go to your house, take your report, go sit in the car, call up Aurelia. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. Here's the serial number, put that on CPIC as stolen, onto the next call. So it's all about efficiencies, finding how can we be more efficient as an organization? How can we reduce the calls for service? By reducing the calls for service, those are billable calls to the community that you don't have to pay for anymore. And then that's time that we can be reinvesting in the community. So instead of having to go back and sit in the office, we can say, you know what, we're going to go do some school patrol and follow some school buses today. and see what kind of idiot is going to be passing when the red lights are flashing. You know, it's all about how can we be more efficient, how can we be more technologically savvy to improve our service to the community. So these are some of the challenges that we're facing right now, and I think we're doing a great job, but certainly the community is the one that gauges that, but we're doing a great job. So that's kind of all I have there right now, but certainly, yes ma'am.
I have a question. Can you speak to the SAFE team and its actions in our community? Like how often, what type of what's the word I want? Tours they do? What type
Well, a little bit. So I don't work for the SAFE team, but I can certainly speak to what that is. So SAFE stands for Snowmobile, ATV, and Vessel Enforcement. That is a specialized unit based out of our East Region headquarters, which is in Smiths Falls, and they focus specifically on those, I guess we'll call them recreational vehicles and enforcement on the, certainly in the summer, they're on our waterways. We have, geez, I want to say there's about 5 or 6 of them, and don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure, but they are based out. Now, keep in mind, they cover Eastern Ontario, so they're going to have their priority of where they need to be, and again, we rely heavily on our analytics. So when we look and we see that on, I'll use the July long weekend coming up in Clear Lake. Last year, or the last 2 years in a row, we had 2 drownings during the July long weekend. You know what? They're going to look at that, they're going to analyze the analytics and say, you know what? We should probably have a boat there if we've already had 2 drownings in a row. So they rely heavily on the analytics. The reality is we have a finite amount of resources. We don't have the days of just driving around aimlessly and burning the Queen's gas. Those are over. Okay, so if you think you're just going to see a car for the sake of seeing a car, we can't do that. That's not something that we can sustain, and it's not financially viable for our organization. We're looking at policing more like a business. We have to have resources where they need to be at the right time for the right reasons. So if you think of people that call in and they say, oh, you know what, cars are speeding on my road. Okay, well, back in the day, we'd throw a cruiser there for a couple hours and they got what they got and that was the end of it. Now we need to say, okay, you have a problem speeding on your road? What time of the day? What day of the week? How many cars are we talking about? Are we talking about, and we have ways to measure this. We have like an instrument, it's called a speed spy. It's a square box the size of that pitcher of water right there. And it goes onto any tree, any telephone pole, and you'd never know it's there. Well, a tree, you kind of notice a box, but a telephone pole or a hydro pole, you'd say, no, it's part of the pole. And what it does, it's a speed measuring device. And what, we'll throw it up on a street, leave it there for a week, come back, and then we can say, okay, well, the average, it's a 50-km/h zone. There was 300 cars that went by, the average speed was 55. That's not really, it's not really an issue. Sometimes perception, people think, oh, the cars are speeding. They're not really. But as I look at the data, I see every morning at 6:30 in the morning, there's one vehicle, Monday to Friday, every week, doing 130 and a 50. So you know what? Well, we're gonna send the cruiser up there at 4 in the morning to sit and wait, and we'll deal with that one problem. And usually that solves it. But sometimes, but we have to rely on our analytics. Because I can't just throw a car there at 2 in the afternoon and sit there for 2 hours and not get anything and say, well, one car went by, when the problems are happening at 6 in the morning, when the parents are going out with their kids in the morning for the school bus, and that's when they're seeing maybe the 1 or 2, 3 vehicles that are excessively speeding. So we need to be more detailed, and we can't be wasteful, if that makes sense. Sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent.
That's okay.
So
that's
the SAFE
good.
teams, they have to be where they need to be. We need to put our resources where they need to be. So they rely heavily on the analytics. Where are the problem areas? Where do they need to be? Where should they be? When they have other time, then they go on requests. They'll go to, I mean, let's face it, they will go where there's heavy traffic. So if they know on a certain Saturday there's going to be a big fishing derby somewhere and there's going to be a heavy amount of traffic, well, you'll probably see them there. Are you gonna see them on the Ottawa River on a Tuesday morning? No, maybe not. Maybe not. They need to be where they need to be. Certainly as far as the enforcement goes, I can probably say that any drinking and driving, again, without working for this unit, but any drinking and driving and life jacket offenses, it's gonna be zero tolerance. And I'll just tell you that right now and tell your friends, it's gonna be zero tolerance. You don't have a whistle, you don't have a bailing device, you are liable for a fine, but it might be a warning. Certainly the drinking and the life jackets, zero tolerance, I can guarantee you anything. Now, we do have a vessel, we have 2 vessels in Upper Ottawa Valley as well, and we have several marine training operators as well. And they are out, and we have a little bit more luxury where we just have to worry about Upper Ottawa Valley, and we have the flexibility saying, hey, we got that fishing derby up here, we're gonna make sure that we have a presence. Oh, we've got, 2 weekends in a row, we've had calls about these guys on Sea-Doos ripping around. You know what, this weekend we're gonna have a presence there. Usually that will deter them. Did that answer everything
Yes,
about the same?
thank you. Yep.
Okay.
I've just got a comment as far as your own marine
Yes.
vessel. Change the days up.
Change the days up?
Lately, they've been repetitive, same day every week, right?
Don't go on
Oh, yeah?
water on Thursday.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be just get them to change it up.
I will make a note of it.
We appreciate the regular fact that they're around,
Mix it up a little.
but it gets to
Keep 'em
be,
guessing.
it gets to be known, although you do interact, and I mentioned it to you before, that you don't know whether the game warden is gonna show up at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but if it's repetitive all the time, then maybe people will know that and decide not to.
Perhaps.
So
Perhaps.
just,
May I take a question from
You-
the audience as well? Or is that?
we have a format against that. Does everybody in council agree to accept questions from the floor?
How many are there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, you have snowmobiles and ATVs as well that you
Yes,
put
sir.
on the trails.
Yes, sir, we do. The detachment does, and the SAVE unit does as well. And again, I can speak to the detachment resources. SAVE, again, they have their poker runs that they go to, and the ATV clubs have big rallies, and they'll attend those as needed. Again, it's all about prioritizing stuff and where they think the issues will be, and certainly the same goes for us. Thank you, Your Worship.
Anything else? And thank you very much, Commander Neufeld, and
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
it's well appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, the
If I could
confidential.
maybe just leave my email if there was anybody that had any
Yeah.
questions
You
or
could
anything.
do that. That would be a great idea.
Bob, do you have your copy?
Pardon?
The copy of the presentation, so to turn those in.
Confidential?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta go back.
Yeah.
If anybody has a question or anything, afterwards, I'm just leave my email address here. Send me an email if I can answer. If not, I'll send you an email. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So is this actually confidential? It says we can treat it as a public document and distribute it as they wish. I know it's marked confidential up front, but that's why I figured
The
it was
detachment
safe to
provides
ask.
the
That is
council
not up to me. I
purposes.
provide it to you, and then you guys have to decide if it's going to be shared.
Fair enough.
And I will leave that to the council. Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate your
Have a
time.
great evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, this time I'd like to turn the floor over to Todd Dowser, the Missing Link Snowmobile Club. The trail proposal, Algonquin Trail through Stonecliff.
Okay, I'd like to put it up on the projector so we can share with the audience as well. For those who may have not have seen it yet.
With all due respect, council has a copy. You said this would be short.
I didn't think it would take me that long to put it up on the projector.
Council has a copy, is there a need?
Is
It's up to council to decide.
Can I ask council if we can put it up on the projector?
Okay,
I have no
what's your
objection.
consensus? Do you want it up on the screen, or,
That's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
all right?
It'll only take a second.
Yeah, maybe we can just go with the map.
Okay, don't worry about it. Sorry for the delay there. I did ask for the projector as part of the deputation. Okay, so essentially, we think we've come up with an option that addresses the concerns of the snowmobile club as well as the concerns of the residents in terms of dealing with the snowmobile trail through the village of Stonecliff. So we're really hoping that we might be onto something here that will allow this community to move forward. Basically, what we want to do is get on the trail down at Red Fox Trail, across the highway at Red Fox Trail, get on the rail bed, come east or west from there, cross Pine Valley Road, follow the rail, and then get off the rail bed about 100 yards east of the Elder Road or entrance crossing. And from there, come up the side of the road allowance, clear a path through the road allowance there, and come down by the cemetery here and rejoin the existing legacy trail at the Lee property. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. There are some challenges still that we need to look at. You have a clear diagram in your package there in terms of the Stonecliff exploded view and how we plan on coming off the rail bed. We think we can do some interesting things there as we exit, like the exit entrance ramp from the rail bed. We can design that in a way that's going to naturally reduce speed. The Snowmobile Club, of course, is still very interested in experimenting and exploring different signage strategies in terms of, community safety corridor oversized stop signs if that's required in certain areas, speed limit of 20 kilometers an hour signs through the village. So we're willing to do everything possible to try and get the speed down through the village. At the same time as address the previous safety and noise and speed concerns that people had with the trail going along the rail bed in the back. I've also included some photos in the package that give you a better view as to how it's actually going to go along the road. The next step really is we're looking for collaboration with the municipality in terms of permission to travel this section of Logger's Road, permission to brush back the property line to the edge of the road allowance, just to give us more room to travel that part of the road. We have a guy wire in one of the poles that we need to work with Hydro One. We're kind of hoping that may not even be required anymore. We need to mark the route, and then of course clear the route and walk the landowners and affected people through the route, just to get double check that everybody's okay with what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring down as minimal number of trees as possible. We'll make the trail as skinny as possible, so 10 to 12 feet. That's what we need to get through there. I think I've mentioned the other thing, just in terms of the signage and stuff that we can also do. Again, we're pretty excited about this. We've consulted with all the local landowners as well as the people that had issues with us going through the Stonecliff rail component before. So we're hoping to move forward with this, with council's blessing, and get moving forward on this whole thing, really. Any questions for me or comments?
Any questions from council for Todd?
No, I don't really have any questions. I did call a few of the affected residents myself, and if I didn't call them, I got talking to them somehow, and the feedback was very positive. I walked the route myself tonight and with you, Todd, and yeah, I was very impressed. So I'm hoping that there's some way we can make it all come together and work. So.
Calvin, anything to add?
No, if you look hard enough for a solution, you'd find it. And it looks like you found it. It's
Ernie?
as long as the signs go up and you just try to control the speed and try to keep them on the trail, not on the road, and don't groom the road.
There's like, yeah.
I got no problem with it.
I think it's a good compromise.
I think actually on that point, Councillor Charter, like having the trail groomed beside of the road, on the side of the road, and we're hoping is going to go a long way to getting them off the road, because we know they scoot across there on occasion over past winters, like on the road. At least if there's a trail option there beside the road, they're going to take it instead of sand.
Great.
Mayor, any questions?
No, actually, before the meeting, I went down to Elders Road and turned around and took a look at the map here and what you were talking about. And it does make sense to me. I know
Sure,
we tried to get together and take the walk. I didn't know you were doing it before the meeting, or I would have
Oh, I didn't, yeah.
made sure I was here. I had issues with my wife and wasn't able to attend the first time we discussed it.
Our offer is still open, by the way.
Yeah, but moving forward, it's a viable option.
Definitely. There's still some things we'll have to like get together and iron out, but
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks
thank
for
you,
listening.
Todd.
Resolution 1206-18001, moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Chartroff. Subject minutes of the past meeting, regular meeting Tuesday, May the 15th, 2018. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of Tuesday, May 15th, 2018 be accepted as presented. Any questions?
Just one question. I noticed for that there was only 2 votes taken. I thought everybody had to vote.
You mean 2 votes for,
For selecting
I
a
think about the
candidate.
council person.
It does say only 2 here. I don't know if that's a typo.
well,
or-
I think it was 2, already 2 out
It
of
was already
3,
two
so
out of
they
three,
just,
so it didn't matter.
the decision was already made, so.
So that, so again, I just, quick question, I thought there had to be, if there were 3 people here, 3 votes. No big deal, just a question.
Anything else? All in favor?
Yep.
Carried. Rules Mayor Forum, there was none. Library Board and Rec Committee are both here for your information. Now we'll move to the petitions and correspondence. And you've got the correspondence for information. If there's anything that stands out, please bring it forward.
I was looking at number 1, where they're looking for some support, a resolution. And basically, I think it's that they're looking for cooperation between all levels of government when so that municipalities are made aware of what's going on when there's decisions being made that affect them, their municipality, that they'd like some collaboration between themselves and the other levels of government, whether it be federal, provincial, county, that kind of thing.
They're looking to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, so I was thinking that would be kind of like what we feel we've been facing, so I feel like maybe we could support that.
Their issue is a little bit different, but I think we could support it.
Yeah, it's just basically asking that if something's going to affect their municipality, that there be some collaboration amongst all levels and themselves. So, and that, you know, maybe doesn't affect us right now, but down the road it could. So,
So you're suggesting just a letter of support?
well, they have a
Or a
resolution that you can send.
So, since there's not another meeting of council till, a regular meeting till September, what you can do is just use, I mean, it's all here.
Yeah, you just have to fill in the blanks. pretty
You
much.
could, oh, it's actually Halton.
Oh.
Sorry, let me just see.
No, there is one though where
The
you
blank
fill in your
one.
municipality. It says
Yeah, I
that
see.
insert municipality name.
Yeah, so we could, if council wanted to, I didn't say the last page for some reason, but if council wanted to endorse that, you certainly could, just by using the blank.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to get it? Mine cuts off
Here.
is the problem.
You can have mine.
But, sorry, I think that's the only piece I have though.
At the very bottom it says insert municipality's name.
Yeah. Item 2, the last 2 paragraphs there.
Yeah. So what's happened is somehow the last 2 sections aren't here, but those are the sections that just say that the copy of this be forwarded to, et cetera, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. So what we could do is amend this one by just saying that appropriate, copies be forwarded to the appropriate association. For support. And I'll just put the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria. What you'll have to do is somebody would just need to, first and second, move a mover and a seconder, and then we can just use that document.
Okay.
I know it's not flashy, but it'll do the right thing.
Back to Melinda.
Mary,
No, to
you will
Bob.
have to sign off on it.
You have to s-
Moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Sharshaw. Resolution for endorsement by other municipalities. Do you want me to read the whole thing? I don't,
No.
it's pretty much
It's in the
tabled,
package.
in regards to, supporting the resolution. And it's just a temporary Townships of Head, Clara Maria. Must be a cooperative approach to all developments and engage federal, provincial, and municipal regulatory matters. The exercise of federal regulation over development does not preclude and may require provincial municipal regulation of proposed development to avoid regulatory gaps. That the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria calls the Government of Ontario to join the court application of the Halton municipalities. That copies be forwarded to the appropriate associations for support. Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Anything else in correspondence?
Number 8, like in the Northwest Territories, get high-speed internet and we can't.
Well, we're trying to resolve that, but the people haven't showed up yet. Was there any success in our request for somebody from Yorn to show up?
So what's happened is because we're on summer holidays, there are people who are not available until later. So there was no one available for this meeting, and then again, like I said, people pretty much shut down until September.
Yeah, because I spoke to the representative of our area for Yorn, and obviously they're not going to be putting fiber optic cable in here anytime soon. But there were grants and are grants available coming up that they're going to make us aware of that might be able to help with things along.
And Mary, if I could, just as an explanation to council, a lot of the articles towards the end seem to be news type articles. The Municipal World Association has started to, every morning they review newspapers from across the country, and they submit documents and news articles that affect municipalities. So then I further go, look through them, and then ones that do affect us, like that one, why do they get it and we can't, that sort of thing. So that's why they're included there, sort of all of a sudden. It isn't something that we normally did in the past.
Okay.
We also have a late 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. It's on the back of 2. It's from Bob Elder.
That's it for correspondence?
Mm-hmm.
I take it this is information? The budget process?
Yes. Sorry, I did want to speak quickly to those. So, in the past, up until 2015, council had begun to have a budget presentation every year before the budget was released. And in 2015, I believe we had one resident attend, and since then, council has pretty much said it's not worth it. So at that point, what they have directed staff to do is to make sure that all the information is on the web page. So as soon as it's available for council, it will be put on the website, and notice will be sent out in the usual places saying that the information's there, so that if residents have any concerns, they can contact their council members. I've included that document there because a number of you are new, and it explains the budgeting process. If council wanted, we could hold a training session and do go through this presentation, but I thought by providing it, you can ask questions if you need to. So either if you have questions, you can email them and I'll reply all. And the next document, I think, was the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Is that with that as well, or right after? It was a colored document, I thought.
No,
Oh,
that's,
it was before, Crystal says. It looks like this, wherever it
yes,
is in
yeah.
your
Yeah, that's-
package.
It's
So
right at the
again,
back.
I'm not, wasn't intending that we go through that unless somebody has questions. But the reason it's there is to show you that the provincial government is changing, well, everything could change now, but the rollout was that this asset management programming was changing, that January 1st, 2019. If you open up the spreadsheet inside and you take a look at the different areas that they're now expecting municipalities to cover for asset management, I just wanted to give you a guideline. We attended a webinar 2 weeks ago, I guess, so that's just for council's information. Thank you.
and it's basically the same information. I don't know if you guys have been getting it, but from the emails from FCM that I get all the time. So it's just not repetitive. At least it's in print now and we can see it. So moving forward, we have clerk's report.
Is there another one? So, as you see, I sent a second copy of the clerk's report because, as usual, things change after I get the original one sent out. So I'll go through very quickly unless you have some questions. We have been working on the budget, as I expressed elsewhere. We're nearly finished. We just need to wait for the auditor to get his work done. His work has been delayed because of some of the challenges Noel was having. So, Noel, he's been, the auditor's firm has been updating. Then because he's been doing that work, he needs to get an external firm to review to make sure that our audit is clear. So that's what's taking us a little extra time, and that's why the budget's been deferred from this meeting. Number two, June 2nd, I believe, a group of runners from Montreal came through. They were running for the Terry Fox Foundation. They're trying to raise $50,000 this year. And we put them up at Driftwood Park. We thought we could find a trailer or some, but we couldn't. I kind of dropped the ball and didn't get the trailer in time. Anyway, put them up at Driftwood Park and then made breakfast for them Sunday morning, and off they went. So I believe they're just past Thunder Bay now, if I'm not mistaken. They were here last Saturday. Smart Serve attendees, I believe they've all received their certificate, which is good news. The grand announcement, the $1.9 million. I'm not sure that that's going anywhere, but it's still there so that it can be used if council sees a reason. We have, or a purpose. We have until August to submit that. Municipal elections, again, nominations are open until July 27th at 2 p.m. You cannot file or withdraw after that date. And any campaigning prior to filing is illegal and it could cost you your seat. The future of the helipad. We have a gentleman who comes on an annual basis to do the inspection, and he has determined that some trees will have to be removed. So I think we're at the place where council needs to make a decision. Is it worth maintaining this thing on an annual cost and continuous work for very little use? If we've had one landing there over the last 3 years, that's been it. They land on the highway. So that's something that council will have to look, I would think at budget time, you'll have to make a decision either to continue or not. The audio for the last meeting has finally been uploaded today after 3-4 attempts with our sketchy internet. It sometimes shuts down and we have to start over again. Information added after the package number 1, naming a private road for 911 purposes. So we have a request for a laneway that goes through private property off of Adelard Road. And we've asked, I had Terry ask the property owners, and they suggested the name Madison. So unless council has a concern, I don't know what other process needs to happen, but we could forward this to the county and have the process go through. So unless I hear anything different, Mayor Reed, that's what we'll do, is just from a staff position authorize that this continues. Again, number 2 talks about deferring some items, and one is the auditor's report, and then the second one is some of the information that goes with the Bill 68 changes. So although I had the draft, the report created in the resolution, the physical documents aren't completed yet because they're still a work in progress. I'll probably receive them tomorrow, but not available for today. And the County of Renfrew has provided a copy of their election sign rules for county roads, but as we have none, doesn't apply here, but I just want to make sure I got it out there. Where's the next one? So the next report, it's, I'm sorry, are there any questions based on any of that? Pretty straightforward. So the report 801A, this is basically comments and notes from the meeting that I attended on Friday. So as I said, I believe to council before, the firm, E4M, Expertise for Municipalities, that the Integrity Commissioner works for, he works for this municipal law group as well. So they're holding these sessions in conjunction. So not only do they provide training to staff, but then you have to come back home with your pages and pages of notes. You actually work on the documents while you're there. So their staff has taken the document back. They're going to fix the typos. They're going to put in the language that any specific municipality wants. And then the 15 municipalities that were there will all get a final copy of a document that has been already vetted by a lawyer, and if ever contested, will be protected by their insurance as well.
Wow.
So that's what I'm suggesting to council, is that, again, at budget time, that we consider moving to this law firm for that reason, if no other.
Yeah.
The work they do. The other thing that they have planned right now, knowing that Ontario elections are occurring, is that prior to the first meeting after the elections, every municipality has had the opportunity to review its procedure bylaw. So again, make sure that it's up to date, that it meets all the new legislated changes, and that any training then that occurs with your new council orientation will be based on a legally vetted, solid document. So I'm not going to go through all of this. You can read it. A whole lot of this has been repetitive. It's information that we've already been told, or we've learned from other sources. Other people have come to provide training here. They did provide some examples. They did ask questions. We had an opportunity to ask specific questions, and then, well, how can we address that in the code? And if the consensus was, well, this is how you could do it, so they would add that. So not only, though, are the 15 municipalities that were there, this is the 3rd or 4th session that they've had. So we have the benefit of probably 30, probably more than that, probably 40 to 50 municipalities who have contributed to creating these documents.
Oh, great.
Whereabouts is Wishart based out of?
They're out of Sault Ste. Marie.
Out of the Sioux?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just reading through it, and I just had one question about that, and where it's talking about conflict of interest, and it's saying so that if I'm on the rec committee,
Yes,
then I cannot vote on anything to do with the rec committee budget.
that is
Is that-
what they're,
okay.
that's what
That's
they're
good to
saying.
know. I would have never
Well,
thought that because
and-
I was thinking it was a personal pecuniary interest, but it's
That's
not.
right. And in the
Okay.
past, I believe it was, and I think that's one of the new changes that's coming, is that now it's the body, because of all these conflicts because of people, in larger municipalities, let's say there are eight committees, so a couple different council members will sit and they'll all have their little pet projects.
Yeah.
So they'll go to council and say, well, we want the money for roads, no, we want the money for recreation, no, we want it for, so they're trying to get away with that. Now, that was exactly what we brought up. Well, what happens when your entire council is, so the example he used was the firefighters. So there's a council of 5, 4 of them were volunteer firefighters. Under the code, and this has already happened, under the code, they weren't allowed to participate, and they went before a judge, which is what is required under the municipal, sorry, not the code, the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. They went before the judge, and the judge said, in this case, we will grant you an exemption. So we've had that situation before where I think we were down to 2 people at one point to make a decision because someone had declared a conflict of interest. Had we been down to 1 more, that's what we would have had to do,
Okay.
was to go to the judge. So as much as I'm saying the legislation's changing, I think the education's changing. I think this already exists.
Okay.
It's just being contested in court.
So we have to make sure then when we're doing our budget that that's separate, so I can say I can't vote on that.
That's right. And I
Part of the
asked that
budget.
question specifically,
Okay.
so he said, yes, so when you're doing your library budget, perhaps you leave it out of your general budget. When you're doing your recreation committee, you leave that out of your general budget. You can talk to those things separately, where the counselor who is involved in that committee then has removed themselves from the
Okay.
table.
Very informative. Thank you.
Even though you're on the committee, because
Even though,
we have to have a representative
and
on the
because you've been
committee.
appointed, yes, because the pecuniary interest is in the body.
Okay.
And that's
Of the-
where,
of the club or
of the club or
the
the church
church.
organization.
Yeah,
anything.
and under
Okay.
that circumstance, we'd have 2 council members that couldn't vote.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why they recommended then that when we do our budget, you separate that out. So we'll have a budget, pretty much everything else, and
Yeah.
then we'll have a budget to approve recreation, or not a budget, another resolution to approve the recreation component, and another resolution to approve the
library.
library
Library.
component. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And I guess, sorry, last one is this AMCTO document that, it was referenced, and, I just included that as well. It's good reading. I'm gonna include it in the new counselor packages.
I didn't see that.
Oh, my apologies. Crystal's reminding me of one more thing. We, for accountability, transparency purposes, we advertised at May Madness the sale of the surplus generator. So it was advertised, we put it on Facebook, we put it on emails, and we had posters here. So we've received 3 documents, so I'll have Crystal open them, and we'll quickly mark this down so that we have witnesses. So the first one is Kevin Walker, and the bid is $2,500. The second is Bob Reed, and the bid is $1,000. And the third is Pat McGurran, and the bid is $251. Thank you.
So the winning bid would be
Mr. Walker.
Walker. Thank you. Treasurer report, none at this time. Mayor's report. I did attend my two sessions of Health and Social Services Committee meetings. I did not attend the last County Council, as most of you are aware. I don't know if you are. My wife's in the hospital. She came home today at 4 o'clock. And I was kind of tied up and did not make it to the last County Council. Admin assistant.
Okay, I recently have been spending a fair amount of time working with Peter to have year-end finished. I've reviewed the accounts with Melinda to have the budget prepared. I've started booking events for the Seniors Community Grant. I created two separate tender packages for the air conditioning and exterior upgrades to the community center through New Horizons for Seniors program. I also have started two new applications for funding under the New Horizons for Seniors program. One is for capital for shelters at Lacroix Park, and the second is programming for seniors. The programming is finished, and I just need a signature from you, Mayor Reid, and I'm still working on the one for capital. I have completed the 2017 gas tax report. I attended the Municipal Connect training with MPAG. Also completed the annual ECA training with Joe Hall and Bill, and reviewed reports from QBM to be sent to the Ministry for approval.
Thank you.
Which reminds me that our disposal sites have been inspected recently, but we have yet to receive the report, so that will be coming.
Can't make my fingers work. Resolution 12-06-18-002, moved by Councillor Chartraw, seconded by Councillor McKay. Be it resolved that the check log from January 1st, 2018 to June the 6th, 2018, totaling $69,715.91 be accepted as presented.
Which one's that?
The whole one.
That's not the number.
That's not the
63,000.
715.
Isn't that what I said?
No,
Oh, it says 69 here.
It's my error.
It's
My
63?
apologies.
Yeah.
It's
63,715.91.
It's my typo.
Sorry, I was just reading out what was in front of me.
You were.
Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 1206-18-003, moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Chartraw. Income statement, be it resolved that the income statement from January 1st, 2018 to June the 7th, 2018 be accepted as presented. Question?
Can you print that on lined paper? It's so hard to follow.
That's been a debate that goes back and forth. It depends on who's sitting at the council table. Some people like lines, some people don't. So I will ask Noella.
I use a ruler and I still get lost.
We'll see what we can do. It's an Adobe document, so I'm not sure.
Maybe it's just because I'm old, I don't know, but it's hard to follow.
Well, I think the system we had up until the last failure was working pretty good. And this is different.
And the thing was, is it was an Excel document, so Noella could choose whether to use the lines or not.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
Adobe.
Adobe's, yeah.
So we'll see if we
Get
can
that.
modify it.
If not, I'll struggle with my ruler.
Okay.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, resolution 1206-18-001, or 1001, has been deferred till we hear back from the auditors.
Yes.
Okay, just to make sure.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
It's not here, so that's what you got printed on the bottom
You
of the
do
page.
say here that it's deferred pending
This
update.
one?
No,
I'm
the
lost. bylaw.
budget and
The bylaw.
Oh, the
taxation.
bylaw, yes, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's deferred
Yes.
until we get
Yes.
information back.
Peter was here today, they'll be back tomorrow, so as soon as he can, but he can't give me a date right now.
Resolution 1206-18-004, moved by Councillor Chartraw, seconded by Councillor McKay. Resolution from Clerk's Report, Integrity Commissioner Report at May meeting, 15/05/18/801. Whereas Council has reviewed the information provided during the training by Municipal Integrity Commissioner in April. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council will comply with the recommendations and direction of the newly appointed investigator, and hereby direct that Library Board be asked to adopt a code of conduct for itself. Staff begin the process of creating a risk management policy to present to Council for adoption. Staff stop the practice of recording closed meetings. Staff and Council make use of notice of motion process. Staff consult with Wishart to investigate contracting for legal representation. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
No.
We need a recorded vote, please.
Councilor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councilor McKay,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes,
Councilor Villeneuve.
No.
motion's carried. Somewhere here. Resolution 1206-18005, moved by Councilor McKay, seconded by Councilor Chartrand. Subject report 1206-1102, the Algonquin Trail update, where a stakeholder consultation and staff research has identified a number of concerns with the creation and the use of the multi-purpose recreational trail in Head Clara Maria, and whereas council has an obligation to ensure that actions taken and decisions made by council and the municipality are compliant with legislation from all levels and consider effective risk management tools. And whereas only through legislated actions taken in good faith, having considered all relevant information provided, are council members, employees, and officers protected under Section 448 of the Municipal Act. Therefore, it be resolved that the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria is hereby enact as follows. The staff ensure that land use agreements are completed for all lands used by OFSC or OFATVC in the future to indemnify the municipality. That municipal liability insurance be doubled from $25 million to $50 million as a recommendation of the municipal insurer at an annual premium increase of at least $1,500. That use of snowmobiles within the municipality bylaw be created, and that a use of off-road vehicles within the municipality bylaw be created. The bylaw enforcement officer position be implemented and filled to enforce new and existing municipal bylaws. Question?
Question on the cost of a bylaw enforcement officer. Just rough math in my head, it's probably $50,000 salary when you take in benefits, etc., etc. Probably 250 taxpayers. Works out to about $200 per person per year.
Now, this was considered a part-time position, right?
Yeah, and it was to be
Yeah.
We
taken
already
on.
pay them.
And there are, the number of taxpayers is 3 times that.
Do we have a ballpark figure on
But
exactly what
I
it
haven't costed it out yet, this is just a recommendation.
Yeah.
That we do this, and once council approves it, then we bring something back with those types of things, whether it's full-time, part-time, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
wasn't spending the time doing that if council wasn't even going to look at it.
Yeah,
This doesn't give the approval, this
just
just
to
sets the
get
ball
the
in motion.
information.
It says that you're planning
Yeah.
to hire one, and then I need to come up with a proposal as to what it will cost and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you determine, are they working 3 days a week, 6 days a week,
Yeah,
year round, during long weekends only, all that sort of thing.
okay.
Again, the way I read this is that the position will be implemented and filled. Doesn't say will be discussed and brought back to the table.
Oh, it does say filled. It means council is making a decision to go ahead with the bylaw enforcement officer. So now we're going to create a job description, and we're going to go through the process of
yeah.
creating a job, and we're going to fill it. The question and debate is for how many
Yeah,
days, how many hours, all that sort of thing.
Wages and days haven't been determined yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Since I wasn't here at the last meeting, and there was probably some discussion, but it's not necessarily minuted, what are the behaviors that we're trying to capture by having a bylaw officer?
To enforce the
enforce
bylaws that we
bylaws.
have in
That we
place now.
have, because
So-
our bylaws are no
so-
good without somebody to enforce them.
So, anything in specific?
Everything,
Everything.
All of
parking,
them.
boat
If there's-
launches,
If there's bylaws and there's
whatever
nobody to
bylaws
enforce
that the
them,
township has.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it will,
we
it will
can't
include
use the
snowmobiles,
defense
it
that
will
we have a
include ATVs.
bylaw and you went against it, so without somebody to enforce it, then somebody just turns around and sues us and said, yeah, well, it was kind of an empty law because you got nobody to enforce it, so that's why I did it, and that's why you're paying me $20 million because I did whatever it was.
Okay,
Perhaps as clarification, part of the reason that this is here now is because during the consultation meetings and in review, there were so many different incidents where people are complaining, people are trespassing, people are hunting illegally, people are, so we realized that a lot of those things are happening that are outside of a bylaw enforcement officer's duties, but with the bylaw enforcement officer, at least it's saying we have some policing.
Yeah.
As you heard from Inspector Newfield earlier, they only have so much money. We've all heard, Head Clara Maria is the Wild West, you can do whatever you want up there. And based on the comments that we heard during consultation meetings, a lot of our residents don't appreciate that.
Yeah, but the whole ball game too, in my opinion, is we've had certain bylaws in this township for as long as I've been here that haven't been able to be enforced because we didn't have a bylaw enforcement officer other than Terry, and all he could do was put a piece of paper on a windshield,
yeah,
and that was the end of it.
And Bob
We-
enforces
And
things.
Bob LaRue, yeah, and we've
For
got to
building.
start, either they're gonna listen or they're gonna be fined. And most of it isn't residents, it's people
Visitors.
out of residence. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
no,
Record vote, please.
Councilor Chartrand,
Yes.
Councilor McKay,
yes,
Mayor Reed,
Yes?
Councilor Villeneuve.
no.
It's carried.
Resolution 1206-18006, moved by Councillor Chartres, seconded by Councillor McKay. Report number 1206-18-1102, another Algonquin Trail update. Whereas the stakeholders consultation sessions, which occurred over 6 or more weeks related to the Algonquin Trail, have been resulted in a wide spectrum of input, ideas, and suggestions. And where it must be recognized that any decision of council may be amended, adapted, overturned, and or built upon in the future as the situation evolves and new information becomes available. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria does hereby direct staff to work with volunteers to develop terms of reference for and eventually appoint an Algonquin Trail Task Force to work with all stakeholders and residents to inform future councils on long-term plans and development of the trail and surrounding areas within the community. And further that until that time that this process is complete, the council maintains its position and requests the County of Renfrew to meet representatives of Clara Maria and the council to discuss the future of the Algonquin Trail within our municipality boundaries, paying particular attention to resolving concerns related to increasing municipal costs directly attributed to the trail, including the minimum, as a minimum, the following. Excuse me. Rescinding the resolution dictating that lower tier must come up with and fund any bypasses. Address trespasses to property issues and take active steps to manage the trail's current unauthorized use within Head Clara Maria. Complete the proper process of a zoning bylaw amendment to change the zoning of the land from residential to trails active and or trails passive as per council decision, complete with formalized mapping. When written assurance that the county, the municipality is protected and indemnified by the county and releases the respect to the general use of the rail corridor through Head Clara Maria, and especially with respect to travel over across municipal roads and any unopened road allowances, and that the municipality is named as an additional insured as in all trail insurance policies, that the county ensures the proper management plan is developed and managed by lessees to address issues of waste, washroom facilities, speed, and trespass. A written commitment from the County of Renfrew to provide resources to enforce trail rules and or provide the finance or increased police or bylaw enforcement presence to offset foreseeable municipal costs. A written commitment from the County of Renfrew to provide financial assistance with fire management suppression costs due to increased trail use and to assume the municipal cost of the fires that can be linked directly to trail use. Written assurance that when the corridor is brushed, waste materials will be properly disposed of and not left alongside the trail, increasing forest fire risk. That due to the length of the zoning bylaw amendment process, that the council consider implementing a temporary use bylaw to allow the use of approved sections of the trail for snowmobiling for the 2018-19 winter session in specific areas as to be determined by council in consultation with the Missing Link Snowmobile Club. And further, that council provides staff direction to create a map detailing approved motorized and non-motorized use throughout the municipality to submit to the county for their long-term planning process. And further, the council provides staff direction for approved routes for the coming winter session for snowmobiling, recognizing that council is not willing to provide its approval for use until its concern for public safety, trespass, policing, and indemnification have been resolved. And further, that the county has upgraded the trail for proper summer use, withhold its permission for summer motorized use as long as the length of the trail. And further, that the staff worked with Chris Emmer and Penny Purnell to draft terms of reference for committee to bring back to council for approval and further appointments in the future.
Mayor Reed, I noticed that should say Penny and Bruce. They both volunteered and I missed his
Okay,
name.
and we'll add Bruce's name as well. And Bruce Purnell to draft terms of references committee to bring back to council for approval and further appointments in the future. Questions?
On page 3, and further that council provides staff direction for approved routes for the coming winter season for snowmobiling, recognizing that council is not willing to provide its approval for use until its concerns for public safety, trespassing, policing, and indemnification have been resolved. Are we expecting the county to resolve that, or the snowmobile club to resolve policing issues?
I think it said county did it, not?
Well, it started off at county, but it says we're going to, county's going to provide direction for approved routes for snowmobiling, recognizing that council is not willing to provide its approval for use until its concerns regarding this, and this have been resolved.
So it says council provides staff direction. So what that means, if you look up to number 10, the zoning bylaw amendment process and a temporary use bylaw, the temporary use bylaw will have to be created.
Yeah.
And it also says in conjunction with the snowmobile club. So it's not any one group. Is the county going to address the county's issues? Is the club going to address the issues of the club? Todd spoke of signage. He spoke about other things. Are they going to do that? Is the county going to agree to put the municipality on their indemnification, the insurance? Is the club going to agree? So it's not one entity, it's everybody.
Okay.
Policing issues could be wardens.
Mhm.
The club could say, yes, we'll put wardens out on long weekends, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Anything else? Now, keep in mind that this does say for the upcoming season,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And I know we're not there yet because that should be saved for questions and answers. But I will encourage staff to get together with Todd and the Snowmobile Club and produce a resolution for us, because I think we should carry it on and let them get their work done ahead of time.
By passing this resolution,
Yeah.
you're allowing for staff and a member or two of council to work through that.
Okay.
There doesn't need to be another resolution. This does say that
Okay.
council is agreeing to let the club come to an agreement. Then it's just working out the details.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? All in favor? Carried. Resolution 1206-18-007, moved by Councilor McKay, seconded by Councilor Chartraw. Report 1206-18-1201, severance for the Boudreaux property. Whereas council has the authority and responsibility to comment on requests for severance within its municipal boundaries, and whereas council does recognize the value in increased development within our community for a large variety of reasons, therefore be it resolved, the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria does hereby authorize staff to favorably comment on the request for severance and approve the request through the municipal report to the county for file numbers B03/18-1, B04/18-20, and B05/18-3. And further, that the municipality agrees with the county and requests that the property owner meet the recommendations of the county planner and meet the conditions of consent as detailed in the planning report provided for each new parcel. Registered plan of survey, a zoning bylaw amendment, a private road agreement, and a development agreement. Any questions?
I just have a comment. I noticed a typo, so it should say B04/18 as opposed to 20. So if you could just change the 0 to the bracket. Thank you.
So you want me to strike the 20?
Strike the 0, it should be a closed bracket.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Report 1206-18-008, moved by Councilor Chartraw, seconded by Councilor McKay. Report number 1206-18-1202, waste management bylaw review. Whereas the waste management bylaw was passed in 2012 and requires regular review, and whereas concerns with some practices have been raised by staff, be it resolved that the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria does hereby agree to eliminate the fee for acceptance of white goods at municipal disposal sites unless they require processing prior to being removed by a scrap metal processor, eliminate the fee for acceptance of contaminated soil suitable for cover at the site unless the site has been open to accommodate the contractor's schedule, and anything else. This resolution becomes effective immediately. Any question or anything to add in other?
I guess I'd like to, why has this become an issue, the fee for acceptance of contaminated soil? I imagine there must be a wait time for, I'm imagining fuel or oil in dirt would have to be stacked somewhere for X amount of time.
It's worded contaminated soil that is eligible
Suitable for
to be used for cover, so it's already been sitting somewhere.
So if we're making use of it, why are we also charging them to bring it to us? As if you read the report?
Right,
Yeah.
so but we're storing it as well, right?
Yes.
No.
No,
we're using
not
it
the,
for cover.
the
Sometimes.
suitable,
Well, some.
yeah, but the stuff that's suitable, we wanna make use of. The stuff that's not suitable, they're still gonna have to pay a fee,
They have to take it elsewhere.
take it
actually.
elsewhere.
Yeah, we
Actually,
can't
okay,
accept
we
it
don't
if it's
accept it.
contaminated.
But if it's suitable for us to make use of, then we shouldn't be charging them for something that we can make use of. It's the way the report, when I read the report. Yeah.
It's a little hard to read, I'll admit that. But maybe Councillor Olin is not 100% sure of what we've done in the past. Any contaminated soil now has to go through, I believe it's Phillips Environmental. It's not allowed in our site whatsoever. What we're talking about is stuff that's a construction site that's contaminated by wood, by plaster.
Okay, so we're not
Some-
talking
we're not
fuel
talking-
Dirty soil,
oils,
basically.
No oil, we're not talking waste,
Sometimes it's diesel along the highway.
a little bit from a cleanup along the highway, yeah. That should still be up to the highway contractor, that's up to them to get rid of that.
Well, that we're allowed to accept that is what I'm saying.
We are allowed to
MOE
accept that.
says that that type of material is acceptable for
Okay.
cover. So it's,
But we do not accept waste spills out in the field.
no,
No.
And all that we were getting at here with usable contaminated was you tore your shed down, so we're getting a little dirt with it, we're getting a little wood with it. That can be used as top cover, keep the birds off it.
fair enough.
So under
Thank you.
other, oh, sorry, Ernie, were you finished?
Thank you, is what I said.
Okay, sorry. So under other, are you looking for like I thought the idea of using the clear bags?
that's what that was there.
Yeah.
We, like I said, we haven't reviewed the policy in some time, but this is just, again, an introduction to the council members, some of you who are
Yeah.
quite new. Excuse me. So what I'm suggesting there is, yes, is it time to consider that, or does council want to provide staff with direction to take this back and for the September meeting? That
Yeah,
sort
I
of
think
thing.
that's a good
Not
idea.
that there's a decision to
Yeah.
be made right now.
Because there's a lot of good points in here, but I think it would need more
Do we
time to
wanna
review
table
it.
it then
Yeah.
till the fall?
Or
Well,
have you,
I think number 1 and 2, if you could, because that's been something that's
Yeah.
going on for quite a while. But number 3, other could just say,
Okay,
direct staff to bring back for September.
okay, I agree with that.
If you can read this.
Did you want to-
All I wrote was direct staff to bring back in September.
Okay.
So any other question? Seeing none? All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Okay, these two. I guess this is just information. The Bill 68, there's not a resolution here for that,
No, that's been deferred.
just information?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it's because the reports from Friday's meeting weren't ready, so I'll bring that back.
okay. Resolution 1206-18009. Subject report 1206-181301. To receive a letter from the Municipal Integrity Commission under Section 239, 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Whereas the municipality allows for closed meetings under Section 239, therefore be resolved that this meeting go into camera session at I'm going to say 2047. To discuss personal information about identifiable individuals, including municipal and local employees under Section 239, 2B in relation to workplace violence, harassment, policy complaints, and subsequent report. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. So we're going to move into closed session.
Mayor Reed, if I could, before you go to closed session, I've been advised by the Integrity Commissioner, since I am a party to this complaint, that any individual who is a party to should not participate. So for those reasons, I'm formally delegating my responsibility to Crystal to act as clerk during the closed session.
Okay. Thank you.
So I would say Crystal has
I don't have any other staff. I created the big.
she's involved.
So are you?
And I don't intend to go and sit. So they have nobody.
I have formally delegated my authority to Crystal.
Okay.
Resolution 1206-18010, moved by Councillor Chartres, seconded by Councillor McKay. Report 1206-181301, to receive a letter from the Municipality Integrity Commissioner under Section 239, 2B, personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Whereas council went into closed session to discuss personal information about an identifiable individual on labor matters, and did receive a confidential harassment complaint report from the Municipal Integrity Commissioner. Therefore, be resolved that this meeting come out of closed session at 20:55. And the public portion of the meeting continue. Let it, public record, show that no business of council has been advanced during the closed session aside for providing direction to employees. All in favor?
Yes.
I guess we'll have to have a recorded vote.
Councillor Chartrand?
Yes.
Councillor McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Councillor Villeneuve?
So I don't believe I can vote.
You're voting to come out of closed session. Yes, you are allowed to vote.
Then okay, yes.
Resolution 1206-1811, moved by Councillor McKay, seconded by Councillor Chartres. Report 1206-181301, to receive a letter from the Municipal Integrity Commissioner under Section 239, 2B, personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Whereas council has received the Integrity Commissioner's review of the harassment complaint report under the municipal workplace violence and harassment policy, outlining concerns and recommendations. And whereas council has a legal obligation to ensure that the appropriate investigation has been completed and to ensure that the workers are entitled to a safe and healthy workplace. And whereas the Integrity Commissioner report includes in part comments very similar to that from Cunningham and Swan, that formal complaint policy is needed along with appropriate training, and the training be completed to provide recommendations as how to proceed in a professional manner. Therefore, it be resolved that the Council of United Townships of Head, Clara Maria does hereby reject a large part of the conclusions of the original report completed by Mr. Curtis, and further authorize staff to accept Mr. Ray's recommendation, schedule policy training for council members and staff to be held as soon as possible. Question? All in favor?
Yes.
Councillor Chartrand?
Yes.
Councillor McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Councillor Villeneuve?
I have a conflict.
Resolution 12-06-18-012. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, seconded by Councillor McKay. Rescheduled budget meeting. Whereas the budget process has been delayed due to staff illness, and whereas staff will work with the municipal auditor to complete the budget documents as soon as possible, but prior to the Ontario property tax assessment deadlines for taxation purposes. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the United Townships of Head, Clara Maria does hereby direct staff to schedule a special meeting of council to be held as soon as possible on Tuesday, June the 10th, or Wednesday, June the 11th.
No.
I think those dates are wrong.
I think those dates are very, very wrong. 19th and 20th, my apologies.
19th and 20th. At 7 p.m. to adopt municipal budget for 2018 and to adopt a final tax bill bylaw setting rates for 2018. And further, due to these special circumstances, council waives the 2-week special meeting notice provision and will hold a meeting as soon as auditor and staff have documents available for council, ensuring, of course, that staff make them available to the public electronically immediately upon document completion. Any comment? Question? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 12-06-18-013. Whoops, I better slow down here. Questions and answers?
I have a question, Mayor Reed. The latest edition of the North Renfrew Times basically states that this council's position is we have not been dealt with very well by this club or the county. Is that our official opinion?
Don't know where they got that from.
The NRT?
Yeah, but I don't know where the
June
NRT got that
6th.
from.
It was quoted by,
Pardon?
It was an email sent to Mr. Beaudry.
From here?
It was in the last it was in your package for the last meeting.
Okay, I must have missed it.
Would you like to see a copy?
Okay, what's your question?
Is that our official opinion?
I don't believe so, is it?
Yes, it is.
It's ours,
Yeah.
To who? To Mr. Voder? Yeah, to Mr. Voder, but not to the local club,
No.
just to OFC.
The letter actually says that the municipality has not been dealt with by the county or the OFC or local club. Yes, I believe it says all three.
Okay, I didn't believe it included the local club, but
I can't remember.
there has been a problem with Mr. Vodry and
The county.
county, yes.
Yes.
So I guess you could say that that's our official policy then.
Thanks for the clarification.
Now, I have been contacted over the last number of days about the condition of our roads. I don't know what Mackey Creek Road's like. I haven't been on there really since they graded.
That's
But our road
I'm on
is,
there all the time.
our road is atrocious.
Is it? I
Yeah.
didn't find, I found Mackey Creek Road was a lot better, actually.
Yeah.
Jennings Road is terrible. There's probably a 5-inch berm in the middle of the road.
Well, the idea was to put the crown back on the road,
Well,
but on our road, I noticed, I don't know, never went down Jennings Road, but, I never smoother ride on a bucking horse.
Oh, really? Ours is a lot, ours used to be really washboardy,
Yeah, and
and it's
then
a
I
lot
had
better now.
I had another comment,
Pull the saw on.
phone call this afternoon at 5 o'clock, saying, well, I wanted to put my laundry out, but the school bus went by. Because the dust is just atrocious.
Yeah, dust.
Usually
for
Terry
sure.
has that done by now, but with the late wet roads in the spring, he's behind. Now, that's not an excuse, but it's the only one we've got.
When is it scheduled for?
I believe it's Monday because he called and asked if they could do it this week and they were full. They were, because exactly as Mayor Reed said,
But I
it's
also
normally
believe
weeks ago.
Terry has said that he's bringing the grader back to try and fix a couple of the roads that are
Because I
really bad.
spoke with him yesterday and I said, there's,
Yeah.
Jennings Road, I hadn't been on it until I went out to the park the other day and it's awful.
Okay, well, and Calvin will know what I'm talking about. The areas that are really bad are the ones that are shaded,
Yeah.
where the moisture hasn't left yet.
No.
So when he graded them, it just, and I mean, we brought up some pretty good stones at the same time, so. But it's being looked after, so.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, hearing nothing else. Resolution 1206-18013, confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2018-11, being a bylaw to confirm proceeding of the County of United Townships, Head, Clara Maria, and its meeting held Tuesday, May the 15th. Okay,
June 15th.
we better change that, right?
A little bit. My apologies. It was a crazy thing.
We'll change it to June the 12th,
Yes, please.
2018, be read the first time short and fast. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried.
One more.
Resolution number 1206-18014. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, seconded by Councillor McKay. Adjournment. Be it resolved that this meeting adjourn at 21:07. To meet again on Tuesday, September the 11th, 2018, and that's not counting our emergency
Right.
meeting.
I got this one right.
Yeah. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Thank you very much.